Thank you, everybody. Today, my name's Cato Grace, and I'm going to be talking about OpsRamp. I'm just going to give you a really quick, brief overview of what OpsRamp is, and then we're going to dive into a couple of detailed live demos. So give you guys a real nice feel for the product, but just wanted to make sure that everybody has an idea of what OpsRamp is before we get into that. So everybody's aware of, all of the challenges that modern IT faces. Multiple environments in multiple different places, tons of data, too much data to really deal with. On-prem, off-prem, all kinds of different things that are coming at you. And OpsRamp really aims to help you deal with all of those. And we kind of see that as a three-pronged strategy. So the one thing is getting all of your data into one tool. So all of the logs and traces and information that comes from applications, servers, network devices, cloud environments, data from everywhere flowing into that one single tool gives you that a way of having access to all of that data in one place. And then allowing you to actually do something with it. So analyze it, and tools to help you analyze it so that the specific user operator isn't going to have to figure out everything for themselves. They're able to get help with that. Machine learning, all the standard buzzword stuff, machine learning, AI, but really helping the user to figure out what's going on, get a better idea, a handle on things so that they're better able to work at getting things back to the way that they want them to be. And on top of that, one of the things that OpsRamp does that's kind of special is giving you an ability to actually automate that corrective behavior. So when you detect that something is going wrong, you get access to all of that data, you help correlate and figure out what that specific thing that is going wrong, and then giving you an ability to automate the repair, the correction, the fix of whatever that issue is. So how that presents itself is, you go from that typical how long it takes to resolve an issue of, hours to potentially days, taking that down to as little as an hour just in terms of the resolution standpoint. And then if you layer that automation on top of that, you can potentially lower that even more and get that, get things back up and running even faster. So part of the way that we do that is that we have, a huge array of integrations with OpsRamp. So beyond all the capabilities that we're going to talk about, we have integration with a whole bunch, almost anything that's out there, 3,000 plus integrations. And then really quick, just how we do this, or what the underlying architecture of it looks like, is we have both an ability to install agents on devices, and obviously agents is going to be something that you'd install, on your Windows machine, Linux machine, something like that would support installation of an agent. And then beyond that, we also have the ability to have a gateway that acts as a collection point for SNMP, potentially APIs, things like that it can act as a centralized point within an environment, and then sending that out to the OpsRamp cloud, where the additional analysis and correlation and all of those other things are done. And then OpsRamp also, on the other end, is able to interact with ITSM solutions, with cloud providers, orchestration engines beyond just what OpsRamp can do to help, again, with getting things back to the way that you want them. And we have OpsRamp environments, we call them pods, but obviously all over the world, anywhere where you would need them. And really, that gives you kind of a nice, yeah, sure, go ahead.
SaaS solution.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, great question.
That's okay.
Yes, SaaS solution. Yeah.
Agentless, or you need to have agent.
So you don't have to have the agents. It depends on what you want to monitor. You know, if you're monitoring a Windows machine, a Linux machine, an agent is going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
But if you just wanted to monitor it with, you know, SNMP or something like that, you could do that as well.
So it's monitoring and collection of logs.
Yeah, monitoring, collection of logs.
It's a CM Turbo.
Sorry?
It's like a CM solution, something like this, plus analysis on top of that.
Yeah.
So OpsRamp is, guys, Jadensa Popo, also with OpsRamp HPE. So OpsRamp has the capability to ingest logs, ingest traces, and do analysis of that. A lot of SIEM platforms also have that capability. But when we're parsing and analyzing these logs and traces, we're doing it more from a perspective of performance and infrastructure and things like that, right? But yeah, we do have the option to ingest these logs and traces via OpenTelemetry. And and for the monitoring capabilities, again, we do agentless monitoring using that OpsRamp gateway, as Cato mentioned. So again, we can do agentless monitoring of Windows or Linux. For Windows, the gateway is going to go in via WMI. For the Linux platform, we're going to go in via SSH. Now, as Cato mentioned, we have the option to download and install an OpsRamp agent on your Windows or Linux machines. That's an option, right? We understand a lot of customers are agent adverse because they have tons of different software, and the server ends up running like 5, 10, 15 different agents, right? And it bogs down the server. But our agent is very small, very compact, very lightweight. It's actually written in the Go language. So it could run on a very bare minimum of memory and CPU. And our agent, actually, we don't install a lot of code to do a lot of the things that we need, like the monitoring and to do automation. We're leveraging what's called remote script execution. So we're just leveraging, what's built in. Like with our agent, you can automate patch management. If you want to do patch management at the operating system level for Windows or Linux, we just call those remote scripts to do the scanning, the patching, and the remediation, right?
Okay, so I understand what it is, kind of. So there is a lot of, maybe not similar, but from the same family of software, your competitors' solutions. What is your value proposition?
Yep, great question. And this is, I'm going to revert you back to the wheel diagram here. Okay, so the first aspect of that platform is that unified observability. It's essentially monitoring, right? You guys all are aware of different monitoring platforms. SolarWinds, Science Logic, Logic Monitor, but monitoring, pulling in those metrics, pulling in those events, pulling in those logs and traces, right? Some platforms are better at monitoring network, for example. Some platforms are better at monitoring storage, and some in compute. What OpsRamp is trying to do is we want to unify all of that monitoring, full stack, right? From compute, network, storage, virtualization, containerization for infrastructure on-prem. In the public cloud, we'll support monitoring AWS, Azure, GCP. We even support Alibaba Cloud and Oracle Cloud, right? So we're equally strong at monitoring and observability for on-prem infrastructure and cloud infrastructure, right? Some platforms are better at one or the other, but we don't. I mean, that's just the first aspect of it, is that observability and monitoring. We can also go in our AI-powered analytics. What we're doing there is, because we can monitor full stack, we can generate these events and alerts that OpsRamp is generating. But OpsRamp can also integrate with existing monitoring tools like your SolarWinds or Science Logic, because if you don't want to replace your monitoring tool right now, maybe you still have some years on the contract and say, look, maybe I'll keep it around for another year. OpsRamp can still coexist with that platform using a webhook. We will ingest the alerts that those third-party monitoring tools are generating, or even like an APM, if you're running an application performance monitoring tool like Dynatrace, New Relic, right? OpsRamp can integrate with those platforms by, again, using a webhook to ingest the alert. So in that way, OpsRamp can act as a monitor of monitors, right? And then we can do, once we ingest all of those alerts, now we can apply our machine learning to do alert correlation, right? Because the problem that a lot of our customers and potential customers are having, because they have siloed tools, they have a tool just to monitor network. They have a separate tool to monitor storage, another tool to monitor compute, another tool for database, another one for cloud. Because they have those disparate tools, those tools are only looking at their alerts. Typically, when you have a root cause issue, like let's say a network switch port goes down, that one issue on the network is going to cause multiple issues up and down the stack, right? And if you have disparate tools that only look at a portion of these alerts, it's almost impossible for you to do a correlation. What ends up happening is people get on war rooms, right? You have the network guy, the server guy, the compute guy, everyone's there, and they're all looking at their separate tools, and they're trying to correlate the issue. They're doing correlation manually. Very expensive, very complicated, very time-consuming. We can do that correlation in our platform. Again, because we're seeing all the alerts, because we're natively monitoring, or we're bringing it in from their existing monitoring tools.
Do you see the security team as a consumer of the tool or as a receiver of what comes out of this?
Both, really, right? Yeah. Ideally, OpsRamp wants to ingest data from everywhere. But if you want to ingest or take some of the data that OpsRamp is generating, we have APIs where we can push our metrics, our alerts into their platform, right? But typically, OpsRamp is the platform that's going to monitor your full stack, compute, network, storage, virtualization, anything, so that we can do that alert correlation and do automation. Yes?
What's the process like to create that event correlation? You mentioned like machine learning can do it. Like, I'm sure that everybody would love for it to be automated, but also there needs to be validation that, yeah, these correlations are correct. Yep. And how do we figure that out?
Great questions. When I go through my actual demo, we'll deep dive into that.
Great.
All right. Does that answer the questions?
Sure.
Can we go ahead and proceed? Sure. Yeah. As we run through the demo, I'm going to try to demonstrate each of these, and then we can deep dive on how we do monitoring, how we ingest the logs, and we can deep dive into that machine learning, that alert correlation, and deep dive into our automation as well.
So there are two distinct products, OpsRamp's separate from OpsRamp automation. Is that how I understand it?
No, it's one platform. It's just OpsRamp platform, and so it does all of that in that platform.
So you don't have to purchase a new automation portion or license for it or something like that. It's all part of the system.
Well, so you remember I mentioned agents. We have agents that you can install on your servers, right? If you have our agents installed on the server, then we can run automation natively because we're talking to our agent, right? But if you wanted to run automation, let's say on a network device or on a storage device, we don't have an agent for those devices. So if you wanted to run like automation, let's say on a network device, typically we would integrate with something like Ansible, right? Take advantage of Ansible and all their playbooks that they have. Now, OpsRamp recently acquired a company called Morpheus Data. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Morpheus Data. Okay, so I'm sorry, not Alp has been acquired, HPE. HPE acquired Morpheus Data about 4 or 5 months ago. So Morpheus Data is about automation. It's like automation on steroids. It basically does automated orchestration and automation. So in the very, very near future, you're going to see that we're going to have an integration. OpsRamp will have a Morpheus integration so that now we can leverage Morpheus automation. And again, Morpheus can act on compute, network, or storage. Okay.
Can I have a question before we will go to the demo? So the analytics and prediction, is there any sort of access or connection between this tool and, let's say, your support teams? So like, HPE has better insight into their clients or customers infrastructure.
Are you talking about like that? What is that thing? Info? ONAD.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's say, like, I'm a customer, I'm running HP servers, and like, like some of my disk drives are dying. Like, is there any sort of like, proactiveness that your team will pick it up automatically, in terms of the support?
Yeah. Okay, so when you deploy the OpsRamp platform, we do have integration so that if you wanted to, for example, automatically create an incident when a particular alert triggers, we can do that, but we integrate with whatever ITSM platform the customer is using. Let's say they're using ServiceNow. We can configure a bi-directional ITSM integration with ServiceNow, but it doesn't. Right now, does not link directly with HPE support.
Right, okay.
Not at this time, but that.
And the HPE support team doesn't have the access into it. So, like, when you're troubleshooting something.
They potentially can. I mean, but if they give access to the support team, right? Because when they purchase the OpsRamp platform, they own the platform, and so they own the user rights and privileges. Yeah. If they want, they can grant access to particular users.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
But there is no direct hook into HPE support in general, not at this time. Okay. But that would be like a pretty good.
Thank you.
You mentioned Morpheus. So I imagine that this is possible to be integrated inside Morpheus, right?
So right now, since the acquisition was relatively new, right? So we're in the process of building out what integrations make sense. Maybe there's an integration on the Morpheus side to pull in OpsRamp, or an OpsRamp pull in like Morpheus, right? So, but right now they're both standalone platforms. Morpheus is not SaaS based. It's but OpsRamp is SaaS based.
I know, but it's not possible to be integrated. I mean, not yet.
Not yet. No, there's no native integration yet, but there will be. Just like OpsRamp has an integration of Ansible, the next logical step is build integration of Morpheus. Morpheus is much more powerful. I mean, Morpheus even integrates with Ansible as well, or Terraform, or whatever. Morpheus integrates with almost everything.
So how do you license this to customers? Like figure out?
The OpsRamp platform. So the OpsRamp platform is licensed on a subscription basis, depending on the number of resources that we are monitoring, right? And so, what is a resource? A resource could be anything we monitor: a server, physical server, a VM, a container, a network device, a wireless access point, and even public cloud resources. Right, but it's so let's say if I wanted to monitor a server, one server it's a 1-to-1 for metering. One server, that's one resource in OpsRamp that we're monitoring, because not everything is 1-to-1. We have a 4-to-1 ratio. So if you wanted to monitor, let's say, a wireless access point, that's a 4-to-1 ratio. I can monitor 4 access points, and that's only billed as one OpsRamp resource. So we typically give you like a resource calculator, and we tell the customers how many of each of these resource types are you going to monitor, and we'll take into consideration the count, whether it's 1-to-1 or 4-to-1, and out pops the number of how many resources, OpsRamp resources you would need.
You said a container is a resource?
It could potentially, containers are 4-to-1. I can monitor 4 containers. That's only a
and
one OpsRamp license.
You don't charge for storage?
So aside from the number of resources, each resource you're allocated to pull in 50 metric series per resource. Okay. So let's say you're licensed for 1,000 resources. So 1,000 times 50 is 50,000. I can pull in 50,000 metrics per month. Right, that's an aggregate. Some resources you're only going to be pulling 2 metrics. Like you're going to be doing a ping only. Right, ping only returns 2 metrics: response time average and packet loss. Some resources, like a database, might pull in like 50 or 60 metrics. Right.
But like I think what he's getting at is like, what about data retention? If I want to save my data for longer, that doesn't affect.
Depends on the data type. Let me actually, I can refer you over to our documentation site. Let me jump into my environment here. You can hit our documentation site at docs.opsramp.com. And then from here, so the data retention from this website, you can just type in data retention. And this is our default data retention policy. I'm going to scroll down. So I'm going to scroll down. So depending on the data type, and we're going to see the data type here. So data type, let's say metrics. So for metrics, all those raw metrics that we're collecting, we're going to store those for 12 months by default, right? What about these alerts? If it's an alert that's open, it's going to stay in there indefinitely. But if the alert has been closed or suppressed, it'll get aged out after 90 days. Okay. We can even do, let's say, network configuration backup. When we talk about our network observability, we can back up the network configurations of these network devices, and we store those for 1 year. Okay. These are our default data retention policies. If you need to extend it, we can do that. Okay.
Any chance you're going to have like a free tier, limited use for enthusiasts or customers?
I think we are. We had that in the past, and I think we will have that, like a kind of a demo environment where you can go in and test it out, onboard, monitor your infrastructure, and it's like good for like 90 days. Yep. Like a try before you buy, right? Yep. Okay. Did I answer the question? Yep. All right. So
what happens to alerts and things that go beyond the 1,000 messages per month or metrics per month? Let's say you have, like you said, 50 resources, so you got 50,000, and 50,001 comes in.
Then you are charged for the overage. There's an overage if you go above the metrics allocated. But remember, it's an aggregate. Again,
I understand. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand. That 50,001 might be a serious alert. You can throw it away.
Oh no, but no, we don't throw away any data. So let's say you have resources to monitor 1,000, but you onboarded like 1,200. We won't drop or anything. We're gonna right size you every month. Say, hey, you're over by about 200 licenses, but we never drop data